if preparation is focused on the doing and the psychedelic ceremony is focused on the being, and if therefore integration is the merging of the two, then afterglow is that liminal transitory phase, the period between ceremony and integration. And it's also the subtle shift of moving into a dual state of both doing and being. When might you experience psychedelic afterglow? So usually people will feel the psychedelic afterglow effect immediately after the psychedelic experience. At some point when you start to feel the psychedelic effect fade, and then you are moving into getting closer and closer to sober reality. So with MDMA, psilocybin-containing mushrooms, and LSD, this is usually felt in the 1 to 3 hours, maybe 4 hours after a psychedelic experience. But people also note that this can last up to 2 to 3 weeks. When we're talking about the transition process, we like to use this analogy of landing the plane after a psychedelic experience. So if you imagine this analogy of the psychedelic experience being like a flight, like you're taking a flight traveling from one place to another on a plane, then the afterglow period can happen once the wheels have come out on the plane. You're landing the plane, you're hitting the tarmac, but you are not quite at your given destination yet. When we are thinking about psychedelic experiences, it may be common to overlook this phase because it is liminal, meaning it doesn't last, and it is transitory in nature. There's this interesting correlation. There's kind of two main reasons or two main attributes that folks assign to psychedelic afterglow. One is this feeling of interconnectedness within yourself, maybe with others and the world around you. And then the other is positivity or improvement in your mood. Not everybody feels that way after a psychedelic experience. So shifting into what this might feel like, if you are not feeling this increased sense of euphoria, if you are not feeling this afterglow potential buzz from the psychedelic experience, first and foremost, it's okay. There is a correlation from how positive you regard your psychedelic experience and an increased feeling of psychedelic afterglow. There have been people who describe it as almost like seeing the world through a fresh set of eyes. Okay, so what might this feel like? There can be a different sense of perception. This can mean heightened senses, your visual acuity, your auditory acuity, taste, smell can also be heightened. So these are examples of heightened senses. But then also on the other side of this is heightened sensitivity. You are more susceptible to auditory and visual stimuli, lighting, even things like conversations with friends and social interactions. We must know that psychedelic afterglow fades. And so if you know that it fades, if you know that that feeling that you're having will not last in perpetuity, then this gives you time to plan and prepare for the drop off. What's important here is that people feel this psychedelic afterglow, they feel all of this positive benefit, and after this period of a couple of weeks, the effects start to drop off. Many folks get concerned that they are regressing or sliding backwards in their progress. And so the afterglow feeling fading doesn't necessarily mean that you're regressing or sliding backwards. It's just powerful anyways to understand and acknowledge that all things are temporary. Nothing lasts. And this is actually why any of this bears importance. And it's why it's important to be fully in the moment and in the experience. And we draw our meaning in things because they don't last, because they do fade. And to drive this analogy home, I will talk about the 4-minute mile. In 1954, Roger Bannister ran the first modern recorded 4-minute mile. It was a big feat of human capability at the time. In 2002, since then, there have been about 1,755 people who have now ran a sub 4-minute mile. Now, why is this? Why was Roger Bannister the first person, and then now over a span of 70 or so years, now there are almost, a couple thousand people? Well, when Roger Bannister first ran the sub 4-minute mile, he proved to other people that it was possible. And when other people who also wanted to run a sub 4-minute mile endeavored to do so, they also believed that it was extremely possible, which increased the chance of them actually achieving it. And so you can see how this can be directly related to your own psychedelic healing process, because if you can believe that it's possible and feel it and get some type of an indication that you're not broken, that you have this capacity to feel good, that you have this capacity to be connected with others in the world around you, then you're signaling to your being that the emotional state that you are seeking in a psychedelic experience and thereafter is extremely possible.